the timeless past.
A day in the life of a Roman soldier. The night is fading. The stars over the horizon, once sharp and cold, begin to blur into the faintest trace of dawn. The Roman camp, a sea of ordered tents and wooden palisades, lies quiet, but not for long. You are a soldier of Rome, a legionary. And as the faint streaks of sunlight slip across the canvas walls of your tent, you are reminded of one truth that defines your life. Discipline never sleeps. Before the first bird dares to sing, the first sound of the new day comes not from nature, but from man. The shrill blast of the cornu, a great curved horn that echoes through the camp. Its cry is not music, not a song, but a command. Rise, prepare, obey. Inside the tent, you stir from your woolen blanket laid over a rough cot. The air is cold, sharp against your skin. Your body aches from yesterday's march, from the weight of armor, from the endless drills that have carved strength into your muscles and discipline into your soul. But there is no complaint. For a Roman soldier, pain is as common as bread, as expected as the dawn. Around you, your contubernium, the 7 other men who share this tent, your brothers in arms, begin to rise as well. There are no wasted words, no idle chatter. Every man knows his place, his duty. The tent is too small for laziness. A soldier who lingers slows the rhythm of the whole. The air is heavy with the smells of the camp. Sweat from men who have lived shoulder to shoulder for weeks on end. Leather from belts and sandals. Iron and steel, faintly metallic, from the blades kept close even in sleep. And smoke, drifting in faint wisps from the dying campfires outside. The camp itself is a marvel, though to you it is routine. Every night, no matter how far the legion marches, no matter how exhausted the men, a camp is built. Trenches are dug, walls are raised, order is imposed upon wilderness. Rome does not simply stop for the night. Rome establishes itself. And so, when you step outside into the cold dawn air, you see the perfect symmetry of the castra. The straight streets between the tents, the square formation, each side guarded. The watchtowers, manned by soldiers who did not sleep, keeping eyes sharp for bandits, rebels, or worse. There is a weight to the silence of morning. Hundreds of men moving, each step and gesture trained, each motion purposeful. The sound of sandals against gravel, the creak of leather straps being tightened, the muffled clang of armor plates being adjusted. Together, they form a kind of music, the music of discipline. Your first task is not to fight, but to prepare. Your body, your weapons, your spirit, all must be sharpened daily. And though you have lived this routine for months, years perhaps, it never changes. Rome thrives on repetition. Routine is power. Repetition is survival. Nearby, the centurion's voice breaks through the morning. Harsh, sharp, commanding. He is the spine of the century, the iron will that drives 80 men. His vine staff, a rod of twisted wood, is never far from his hand. You have seen it strike men who faltered, who dared to slacken in their duty. You have felt its weight once before, and you resolved never again. The men gather quickly in formation, shields in hand, spears and swords ready. Even in the quiet hour of dawn, when the sun is only just spilling gold over the horizon, Rome trains. For the enemies of Rome do not wait. A soldier who is not ready to fight at dawn is a soldier who dies at dawn. But for a moment before the drills begin, you let your gaze drift. Beyond the walls of the camp, the world lies vast and untamed. Forests stretching into shadow, hills rolling into the distance. Somewhere out there, perhaps beyond the reach of your eyes, are the people Rome has come to conquer or to defend against. To you, it matters little. A soldier's purpose is not to question why, but to march where commanded. The horn sounds again, stronger this time. The men tighten their grips. The day has begun, and so you step into it, into the rhythm of duty, into the endless cycle of labor and war that defines your existence. You are not just a man, you are a legionary, a fragment of the most disciplined army the world has ever seen. And today, like every day, begins in the same way, with obedience, order, and the rising of Rome's sun. The sun is climbing higher now, its first rays glinting against iron and bronze. As the camp stirs into full life, you turn to the most sacred ritual of every Roman soldier, the donning of your armor. To outsiders, it may seem like nothing more than equipment, straps, plates, and metal. But to you, and to every legionary, it is more than protection. It is identity. Without it, you are merely a man. With it, you are Rome itself. You begin with the tunic, a simple garment of wool, dyed a faded red. It scratches against your skin, coarse and plain, yet it serves a purpose. Red, the color of Mars, the god of war. It reminds you that the blood of enemies or your own may soon stain its fibers. Some men wear amulets beneath the tunic, charms from mothers or wives far away. Superstition has its place even in the heart of the Roman war machine. Over the tunic comes the armor, the larica segmentata, plates of iron, curved and fitted, bound together with leather straps. You lift it with care. Heavy, yes, but not unbearable. Once secured around your torso, it feels less like a burden, and more like a shell. It molds you into something greater, something stronger. Each plate clinks against the next, the sound as familiar as your own heartbeat. The straps bite at your shoulders, but you pay no mind. Pain is nothing compared to the pride of feeling your chest encased in Rome's strength. To wear the armor is to wear history. You think of the soldiers before you, the countless battles fought, the enemies crushed beneath this same design. It is not just yours, it is a legacy. Next comes the belt, the cingulum militare, wide, adorned with metal plates that jingle with every step. To the untrained ear, it is noise. To a soldier, it is music, the song of the legion. When you march, when thousands march, the belts rattle in unison. The sound is fear itself, carrying across fields and valleys, telling enemies that Rome has come. At your side hangs the gladius, the short sword of the legionary. Its blade is simple, 2 feet of steel, sharpened to perfection. Not elegant like the curved swords of the East, not grand like the long blades of barbarian chiefs, but deadly, brutally, efficiently deadly. You know its purpose is not slashing but stabbing, driving deep into the bodies of Rome's foes. The gladius is not for show, it is for ending lives. Beside it rests the pugio, your dagger, a weapon of last resort, but also a tool, for cutting rope, for carving wood, for those desperate, bloody moments when the clash of battle leaves no time to draw the sword. You take up your scutum, the great rectangular shield, taller than your chest, wide enough to cover your body. Its curved wood and iron boss in the center have saved countless men from death. You run your hand across its painted surface, the emblem of your legion displayed proudly. This is not just wood and hide, this is your wall, your defense, your life. Then finally, the helmet, galea, bronze or iron, crested with horsehair for officers, plain for you. You lower it onto your head, and the world changes. The sounds outside become muffled, filtered through metal. Your vision narrows, framed by the cheek guards. You are encased, encircled. A man transformed into a soldier. You glance around at your brothers in arms. Each man mirrors you. The same armor, the same weapons, the same determined faces. You are individuals, yes, but together, you are a single organism. 8 men to a tent, 80 men to a century. Cohorts and legions, all bound by the same armor, the same discipline, the same unshakable will. It is in this moment, armored and armed, that you feel the weight of what you are. A cog in the vast machine of Rome, a living extension of its power. To the enemy you are not Marcus or Lucius or Gaius, you are Rome, and Rome does not falter. As the centurion passes inspecting his men, he nods. Not a smile, not a word of praise, just a nod. And that is enough. You are ready. The day stretches ahead. Ahead lies training, marching, labor, perhaps even battle. But no matter what comes, you carry the identity of a Roman soldier upon your back and in your hand. And with armor secured and weapons at your side, you are no longer just a man in a camp. You are a warrior of the empire. You are Rome's spear, Rome's shield, Rome's will. The morning drill awaits. The armor weighs heavy on your shoulders, the shield rough against your hand, but there is no time to linger. The centurion's voice cuts through the camp like a blade, sharp, unrelenting, commanding. The men gather in formation, rows upon rows, shields raised, spears gleaming in the morning light. 100 heartbeats pounding in unison. There is no hesitation. The drill begins. For outsiders, it might look like a performance, a parade of men, moving as one, stepping forward, shields locking, swords flashing. But for you, for every soldier here, it is not performance. It is survival. The morning drill is the forge that keeps Rome's army sharp. You start with the marching drill. Feet strike the ground in rhythm, sandals crunching gravel with military precision. Left, right, left, right. The sound is thunder, echoing across the plain. The centurion shouts cadence, his voice harsh, unforgiving. To fall out of step is to fail, and failure in Rome is punished. The shield grows heavier with each step, the spear feels longer, but the pace never breaks. Sweat beads beneath your helmet, trickling down your neck, soaking the red wool of your tunic. And yet, you press on. Because every step is more than just training. It is preparation for the endless marches that define a soldier-ass life. Rome does not sit idle. Rome advances, always. After the march comes the weapons drill. A wooden post, the parley, stands before you. Rough-hewn, solid. It is no enemy, no barbarian, no rival legionary. Yet it is your teacher, your test. You raise your gladius and strike. Not a wide swing. No, the centurion would beat you for that. A Roman sword is not meant to slash. It is meant to thrust. Precise. Deadly. You stab the post again and again, the blade plunging forward with the force of your entire body. The sound of iron biting wood fills the air. Hundreds of swords stabbing in unison. A chorus of violence. The centurion's staff lashes out at any man who grows lazy, whose strike is weak, whose shield droops. There is no mercy in training, because there is none in battle. You switch between weapons. From gladius to pilum, the heavy Roman javelin. The pila are long, weighted with iron tips designed to pierce shields and bend upon impact, making them impossible to throw back. You hurl it forward with every ounce of strength in your arm. The weapon sails through the air, a streak of death, slamming into the target with a thud, again and again, until your shoulder burns and your breath comes ragged, until you no longer feel the pain, only the motion. Muscle becomes memory, memory becomes instinct, and instinct is what keeps you alive when the clash comes. Then comes the most grueling part, the mock battles. Shields lock together, forming the living wall of the testudo, the tortoise formation. The front line raises their scooter, interlocking edges. The men behind raise theirs overhead, creating a roof of wood and iron. Together, you become a fortress of flesh and shield. The centurion orders stones to be hurled at the formation. They clatter, they strike, but the wall holds. You feel the impact rattle through your arm, through your bones, but you do not break. To break is to expose the man beside you. To falter is to doom your brother. When the wall is dropped, swords flash again. Lines advance, thrusting, retreating, moving as one body. The drill is endless repetition. Advance 2 steps, stab, shield forward, fall back, repeat. The rhythm becomes hypnotic. Advance, stab, retreat. Advance, stab, retreat. A deadly dance practiced under the rising sun. By the time the centurion calls a halt, your arms ache as though filled with lead. Your chest heaves with each breath. Your tunic is soaked through with sweat. And yet, beneath the exhaustion, there is something else. Pride. For you know that every drop of sweat spilled here spares a drop of blood later. Rome drills harder than its enemies fight. That is the secret. That is the reason the legions conquer. You glance at your comrades, faces flushed, lips dry but eyes sharp. There are no weak men here. Weakness has already been beaten out, trained out, or cast aside. What remains is iron, iron shaped into men, and men shaped into Rome. The drill is finished, for now. But the day has only just begun. Ahead lies food, rest, perhaps the grind of labor or the uncertainty of orders. And beyond it all, the shadow of battle always looms. For a Roman soldier, life is not lived in comfort. It is lived in preparation, and the morning drill is the reminder that each day, from the first light of dawn, you are not just training your body, you are training your soul to endure the weight of empire. The morning drill has left your body trembling with fatigue. Muscles burn, breath is ragged, sweat clings beneath the plates of your armor. Yet there is no collapse, no complaint. The legion marches on discipline, and discipline requires fuel. Now comes the soldier's reward, food, not a feast. Not the lavish spreads of senators in marble villas, not the honeyed wine and roasted meats of Rome's elite. No, a soldier's breakfast is simple, Spartan. But it is enough. You sit with your contubernium, the 7 men who share your tent, your labor, your every hardship. Together, you gather around the small fire. The smell of smoke mingles with the coarse scent of grain being ground. For this is the foundation of your meal, wheat. Not soft loaves or fine bread, but grain issued by the quartermaster. Each man receives his ration, measured and weighed with the precision of Rome's system. Fair, strict, and unchanging. The work of the soldier is not just to fight, but to prepare. You take the handmill, the mola, and grind the wheat into coarse flour. Your arms ache from the drill, yet you turn the stone with steady rhythm. Every soldier does this. No servants here, no slaves. In the camp, the legion is equal in labor. The flour becomes dough when mixed with water. Sometimes, if fortune smiles, a pinch of salt is added. Rarely olive oil. Often nothing more than the basics. You flatten it into rough cakes and place them on the embers. The smell of baking grain rises into the cool air, earthy and plain. This is panis militaris, the soldier's bread, hard, dry, but filling. Alongside it you may have pulse, a porridge of grain boiled in water. Thick, heavy, eaten with a wooden spoon. Some soldiers call it the taste of Rome itself. For wherever the legions go, the porridge follows. It binds men together not with flavor, but with endurance. If the gods are kind, the quartermaster may have issued extras, dried fruit, figs or dates from traders, a sliver of cheese, perhaps a piece of bacon, its salt sharp on the tongue. But these are luxuries. Most mornings it is bread and porridge. Bread and porridge. Day after day, year after year. Enough to keep a soldier alive. Enough to fuel another march. You eat in silence. Around you, the camp hums with the same ritual. Hundreds of men grinding, baking, chewing. The only voices are those of centurions barking orders, or comrades sharing brief words in low tones. Some men mutter prayers as they eat, thanking the gods for the food, or asking for strength in the battles ahead. Mars for courage, Jupiter for protection, Vesta, goddess of the hearth, for the simple blessing of warmth and sustenance. The bread is hard, the porridge bland. Yet hunger gives it flavor. Each bite fills the emptiness left by the drill. Each swallow is a reminder that survival, not pleasure, is the soldier's feast. You drink water, sometimes sour wine mixed with water to kill the taste of age. It is no banquet, but it is Rome's fuel. And as you eat, you think of the men who marched before you, centuries of soldiers who tasted the same rough bread, who filled their bellies with the same coarse grain. Alexander's men had their feasts, Persian kings their delicacies, but Rome's legions conquered the world on bread and porridge. Simplicity breeds strength. When the meal is done, you clean your gear. ash brushed from the shield, edge checked on the sword, straps pulled tight once more. A Roman soldier is never idle. Even the moments of rest are filled with duty. Around the fire, your brothers laugh quietly, voices low but warm, stories of past battles, memories of home, jokes to break the hardness of the day. For in this simple meal, in the shared labor of grinding and baking, bonds are forged stronger than iron. A man may fight for Rome, but in truth he fights for the man beside him, the one who shares his bread, his sweat, his life. The horn sounds again. Sharp. Final. Breakfast is over. You rise, wiping crumbs from your hands, tightening your belt. Ahead lies the road, the endless march that defines a soldier's life. For the Roman soldier does not linger. He does not feast. He eats, he rises, he marches. Always forward, always Rome. The horn sounds, and the camp stirs into motion like a living beast. Soldiers gather their gear, hoist their shields, secure their packs. The chatter is minimal. Every man knows the ritual, every movement drilled into memory. Rome's legions are not just armies, they are machines. The day's true labor now begins. The march. Your sarcina, the soldier's pack, is slung across your shoulder. It is no small burden. Inside rests everything you must carry to live. Rations of grain, a cooking pot, a water flask, a cloak, a spade for digging, even stakes for building the camp's walls. The legionary is not only a warrior, he is his own builder, his own laborer, his own mule. The weight is brutal, pressing against your back with every step, but it is the price of survival. The centurion calls the order. The sentry falls into line. Shields to the left, peeler gripped, packs adjusted. The aquilifer, bearer of the eagle standard, takes his place at the front. His standard is more than a symbol. It is the soul of the legion. To lose it is shame beyond death. Every eye glances toward it in pride, in reverence, in silent oath. Where the eagle goes, we follow. Then with a final shout, the march begins. Sandals strike the road in perfect rhythm. Dust rises, kicked into the air by hundreds of feet moving as one. The line stretches far, centuries, cohorts, the entire legion threading across the landscape like an iron serpent. From above it would seem endless. A column of men, armor gleaming in the sun, moving with unyielding purpose. The road beneath you is no accident. It is Rome's greatest weapon, greater even than sword or spear. Straight, paved, enduring, built by soldiers, for soldiers. Mile after mile they cut through forest and mountain, swamp and plain, making the world smaller, binding it to the will of Rome. On these roads, the legions march faster, farther, more tirelessly than any enemy. Where Rome decides to go, Rome arrives. The hours pass in steady cadence, step after step, breath after breath. The pack digs into your shoulders, sweat soaks your tunic, but the rhythm carries you forward. To march is to surrender the mind. You think not of the distance, but of the man beside you. You move together. You endure together. The officers ride alongside on horseback, eyes sharp, ensuring order is kept. Stragglers are not tolerated. To fall behind is shameful. To collapse is dangerous. A legion cannot be slowed by the weakness of one. The vine staff of the centurion strikes swift upon laggards. Mercy is rare, discipline absolute. Yet in the midst of hardship, there is a strange comfort. The song of the march, thousands of feet in unison, the rattle of armor, the faint jingle of belts, becomes music. Men begin to murmur chants, marching songs carried in low voices to keep the rhythm alive. Tales of Rome, of battles past, of victories yet to come. The land rolls by, hills, forests, fields. Farmers pause in their work to watch the column pass. Some bow their heads in awe, others scowl, whispering curses, but none dare challenge. For to see a legion march is to see inevitability, the might of empire passing by, unstoppable, unbreakable. At midday, a halt is called. Packs are dropped with sighs of relief. men stretching aching shoulders, wiping dust from faces. Bread is broken, water flasks passed around. It is no grand rest, only long enough to catch breath, to chew grain cakes, to refill strength. Then, as quickly as it began, the march resumes. The afternoon sun grows harsher, shadows lengthen, but the column presses on. Rome does not wait for comfort. A day's march may be 15, 20 miles, and every step brings the legion closer to its purpose, whether conquest, patrol, or the simple act of being Rome's presence in hostile lands. By the time the horn signals the end, your legs are lead, your back aflame, your throat dry. Yet as the order to halt rings out, you feel a surge of relief, not because the day is done, but because now begins another ritual, one as vital as battle itself, the building of the camp. The order is given, and the column grinds to a halt. Dust settles in the air, men shift the weight of their packs, and for a brief moment there is silence, the silence of exhaustion, of relief. But it does not last. The legion does not end its day with rest. First comes the labor that ensures survival, the building of the camp. To outsiders it might seem tedious, even unnecessary. After all, the sun is falling, the soldiers are weary, the road behind was long. Why not simply rest upon the open field, light fires and sleep? But Rome does not rest exposed. Rome does not gamble with safety. Each day, wherever the legion stops, a fortress rises. The command comes sharply, carried by centurions down the line. Castra faciunda sunt. The camp must be made. Immediately, the men spring into action. Packs are thrown down. Spades and picks are drawn. The organization is absolute. No confusion, no wandering. Every man knows his task. For the camp is not improvised. It is designed, measured, perfected. A reflection of Roman order itself. The first task, marking the site. The surveyors, men trained in the art of measurement, stride forward with their tools, rods, ropes, and the groma, a cross-shaped instrument used to align roads and walls. They determine the cardinal points, the orientation of the camp. The position of the gates is chosen. The Porta Praetoria facing the enemy, the Porta Decumana to the rear, and two side gates forming perfect balance. As the surveyors measure, the men begin to dig. The sound rises at once. The clang of iron tools biting into earth, the grunt of bodies straining, the crash of stones being pulled free. A trench is carved around the perimeter, wide and deep. The soil is heaped inward, forming a rampart. Stakes are driven into the mound, forming a palisade. Within hours, what was once an empty field becomes a fortress of ditches and walls. Sweat pours from your brow as you drive your spade into the ground, lifting heavy clumps of earth, tossing them onto the growing wall. The work is brutal after the march, your muscles screaming in protest, but there is no pause. Every man digs, from the raw recruit to the seasoned veteran. The centurions watch with sharp eyes, vine staff in hand. Discipline does not end when the swords are sheathed. As the walls rise, others begin the work of laying out the streets. The camp is a mirror of a Roman city, precise, orderly, unchanging. The Via Praetoria runs from the front gate to the commander's tent. The Via Principalis crosses it at right angles. Rows of tents are assigned their places. Contubernia grouped into centuries, centuries into cohorts. The camp is not chaos. It is Rome itself, stamped upon the wilderness. The commander's tent, the Praetorium, is erected at the center. Around it, the standards of the legion are planted in the earth, fluttering in the evening wind. The eagle glints in the fading sun, a beacon for every eye. To the soldiers, it is more than cloth and metal. It is destiny, pride, the very soul of the legion. Nearby, the officers' tents rise, larger than the soldiers but still plain compared to the villas of home. The quaestor sets his place, overseeing supplies. The tribunes establish theirs, ready to receive orders. Every man, no matter his rank, belongs within the grid of the camp. The soldiers' tents, the leather-hide shelters of the contubernium, are pitched in ordered rows. 8 men to a tent, 8 men to a family. Fires are lit before them, small hearths where bread will be baked, grain boiled, rations divided. Order within order, discipline within discipline. And always, at the edge, the walls grow higher. Stakes sharpened, driven deep, lashed together with rope. Watchtowers erected at intervals. Guards already stationed at the gates, shields on arms, eyes sharp. Though the camp is not yet finished, it already breathes with life, already bristles with defense. The work continues into the evening, the sky deepening from gold to crimson, from crimson to indigo. The soldiers labor without complaint, for they know the truth. This labor saves lives. To rest in the open is to invite ambush, to tempt fate. But to sleep within Rome's ordered walls, even in the heart of hostile land, is to sleep beneath a shield of discipline. When the last trench is dug, when the last stake is driven, the camp is complete. From nothing a fortress has risen, a place of safety, a home for a night, perhaps for many nights. And tomorrow, when the legion moves on, it will vanish again. The walls left behind, the ditches collapsing, the traces fading into earth. But for tonight, it is Rome. You wipe the dirt from your hands, your arms heavy with fatigue. Around you, men collapse onto their cloaks, sighing with relief. Fires flicker to life, smoke curling into the darkening sky. The smell of grain and smoke returns, mingled with the faint scent of sweat and leather. The camp is alive, a city of soldiers, built in a single day. And as you sit among your brothers, staring at the firelight dancing on their faces, you feel it again. That strange mixture of exhaustion and pride. You are no mere wanderer in foreign lands. You are Rome's arm. Wherever you go, Rome follows. Wherever you stop, Rome rises. This is the heart of the legion, not only in the sword, not only in the march, but in the discipline to carve order from chaos. To bring the city with you, mile after mile, until the world itself bends to Rome's design. The camp is built, the walls stand, the watch is posted, and as darkness settles over the land, the soldier's night truly begins. The camp is built, fires burn in neat rows. The smell of bread baking on embers drifts through the night. Armor gleams in the flickering light, laid carefully beside each tent. And as the men settle, a quieter rhythm emerges, not of digging, or marching, or fighting, but of prayer. For a Roman soldier's life is not held only in the strength of his arms or the sharpness of his sword. It is also bound to the will of the gods. Every soldier knows this. Every soldier feels it. The legions march not alone, but under the gaze of powers unseen. Mars, god of war, walks with the shield wall. Jupiter, father of gods, thunders above the battlefield. Fortuna, fickle goddess of chance, decides whether a man lives to see another dawn. And so, as dusk deepens into night, the rituals begin. Near the Praetorium, where the eagle standard stands planted in the earth, the augur prepares his tools. A man of sacred duty, he reads the will of the gods in the flight of birds, in the entrails of sacrificed animals, in the subtle whispers of nature. His presence reminds the men that their battles are more than flesh against flesh. They are contests of fate, overseen by powers greater than mortal. Tonight a white rooster is brought forth, its feathers flaring in the torchlight. The augur raises it, chants words older than the empire itself, and slits its throat with a swift blade. The blood drips into a bowl, the body placed upon the fire. The smell of burning flesh rises, acrid and thick. The men watch in silence, eyes fixed, breaths held. For this is not cruelty. It is covenant. The gods must be honored, must be fed, if Rome is to thrive. The augur studies the entrails with steady gaze. Does the liver gleam? Do the veins run clear? Do the omens speak of favor or warning? His voice declares the answer, and the men listen with hearts pounding. If the signs are good, they cheer softly, confident that tomorrow's march will be blessed. If ill, a weight settles in their stomachs heavier than any armor. For who dares defy the gods? But faith is not only found in official sacrifice. In the shadows of their tents, the common soldiers whisper their own prayers. You take from your pouch a small charm, worn smooth by time. Perhaps it is a figurine of Mars, gifted by your father. Perhaps a carving of Fortuna, bought from a market in a distant province. Perhaps it is nothing more than a pebble, but one that carries the memory of home. You hold it tightly, murmuring a plea for strength, for protection, for one more day of life. Around you, your brothers do the same. One traces a circle in the dirt, asking for Jupiter's blessing. Another pours a drop of wine into the fire, an offering to Bacchus. A third whispers the name of Venus, not for love, but for the memory of a wife waiting across the sea. Faith is personal, but it is also shared. Together you rise to join the evening rite at the center of camp. A small altar is raised before the standard. Incense is lit, its smoke curling upward into the dark sky. The centurion himself offers grain upon the flames, his face solemn. The tribune raises his voice in prayer to the divine protectors of Rome, to Mars, to Jupiter, to all who guard the empire's walls. The men echo the words, 1,000 voices rising in unison. In that moment, you feel it, the unity, the power of shared belief. You are not alone. You are bound not only to Rome, not only to the eagle standard, but to the eternal forces that shape destiny itself. As the ritual ends, the camp grows quieter. Fires burn lower, shadows deepen. Yet faith does not rest. The sentries at the gates mutter charms as they grip their spears. The officers study the stars, reading patterns written across the heavens. And you, lying on your cloak within the tent, whisper once more to the gods. You know well that steel may fail, that walls may crumble, that even the strongest soldier may fall. But if the gods walk with you, if they shield you in their unseen hands, then perhaps, just perhaps, you will see another dawn. The night closes in. The camp lies within its walls, a square of fire and faith against the vast darkness beyond. And as you drift towards sleep, one truth lingers in your heart. A Roman soldier does not march by strength alone. He marches with the gods. The camp lies quiet beneath the stars. Fires burn low. The night wind stirs the leather of the tents. Yet in the silence, in the stillness, there is a weight. A weight every soldier feels, though few speak of it. Tomorrow may bring battle. The whispers had begun on the march, carried from century to century like sparks on the wind. Scouts had seen movement in the hills. Riders had reported enemy banners. The tribunes had spoken with the legate in hushed tones. And though no official order has yet been given, every man feels it. The shadow of battle presses close, heavy and suffocating. You lie awake on your cloak, staring at the dark curve of the tent's ceiling. Sleep comes slowly, if at all. Around you, your brothers shift restlessly, some muttering prayers, some sharpening blades, some staring into nothingness. A soldier learns to rest anywhere, any time. But the night before battle is always different. At dawn, the centurion's horn shatters the uneasy silence. You rise, your body stiff, your stomach tight with hunger that feels more like dread than appetite. The morning routine is the same: bread, porridge, water. But today, each bite tastes different. The bread is harder, the porridge thicker, the water bitter, for you know each swallow may be your last. The officers gather at the praetorium. Maps are spread, orders exchanged, strategies whispered over flickering torchlight. You glimpse them from afar. The tribunes, cloaked in crimson, their faces grim. The legate, his expression carved in stone. The eagle standard gleams in the rising sun, its wings outstretched, its head lifted. The sight steadies you, as it steadies every man, for the eagle is more than a banner. It is Rome itself. Soon, the orders ripple through the camp. Armor is fastened tighter. Shields are inspected, straps replaced, edges polished. The pila are checked, their shafts straight, their iron tips honed. The gladius is drawn, its blade gleaming like fire in the morning light. Every man prepares as though he alone bears the fate of Rome. The centurion strides among you, vine staff in hand, his voice booming. He speaks not of fear, but of honor. He reminds you that Rome watches, that the Senate, the people, the gods themselves look upon the legion, that to falter is shame eternal, but to stand firm is glory everlasting. His words burn in your chest, fanning fear into something sharper, determination. Formation is called. The cohorts assemble, row upon row, shields raised, pila braced. The sound is thunderous, the clash of iron, the stomp of sandals, the bark of commands. Dust swirls as the legion forms, not a rabble, not a mob, but a wall of men, a living engine of war. And yet, beneath the order, the fear lingers. No man can banish it entirely. You feel it in your chest, in the quickness of your breath, in the tremor of your hand upon the hilt of your sword. But fear is not weakness. Fear is the shadow that proves you are alive. Courage is not its absence, but the act of standing despite it. The march begins again, but this time not toward distant fields or empty plains. Ahead lies the enemy. Ahead lies blood. The road feels shorter, the weight of your pack heavier, though you carry less. Each step draws you closer to the clash. You crest a hill, and there, in the valley below, the enemy waits. Their banners ripple in the wind, their lines stretched wide, faces painted, shields carved, spears bristling like a forest of death. You cannot hear them yet, but you feel their presence, a wave of menace rolling across the earth. The tribune rides to the front, raising his hand. The legion halts. Silence hangs, thick as smoke. You grip your shield tighter, your heart pounding in your ears. The shadow of battle is no longer a whisper. It is here, heavy upon your shoulders, pressing into your soul. And as the horns of Rome sound their deep, thunderous call, you know, the next breath, the next step, may carry you into eternity. Their deep, brazen call rolls across the hills, echoing like thunder, shaking the very air. It is the voice of Rome, commanding, unyielding, merciless. And at that sound, every soldier knows the moment has come. You grip your shield. The wood is scarred, the iron rim dented, yet it feels alive in your hand, a part of you. Your gladius rests at your side, its hilt warm against your palm. Ahead, the enemy stirs, their own war cries rising, wild and guttural. They beat their shields, stamp their feet, scream to their gods. The valley trembles with two worlds about to collide. The centurion's voice cuts through the din, steady, sharp. Hold the line! The legion moves as one, shields lift, edges lock, the wall forms. Shoulder to shoulder, man to man, an iron front bristling with resolve. Dust swirls in the air, sweat beads on your brow. Your breath comes quick, shallow. You glance to your left, your right. Brothers, comrades, faces tight with fear and fire alike. Together, you are the machine of Rome. The enemy begins their charge. A tide of bodies, surging, roaring, their spears thrust forward, their blades raised high. The ground shakes beneath the pounding of their feet. The sound grows until it is a storm, a flood, unstoppable, bearing down upon you. Ready, Pila! The command snaps through the ranks. You shift, muscles coiling. The heavy spear comes into your hand, its shaft rough against your grip, its iron tip gleaming with deadly promise. Loose! 1,000 arms hurl forward as one. The pila fly, dark streaks against the sky. They whistle, then strike with brutal precision. Shields splinter, bodies fall, screams pierce the roar, spears twist and bend, their weighted shafts designed to break, to cling, to make enemy shields useless. The tide falters, but only for a heartbeat. Still they come, the clash is seconds away. You slam your shield down, feet braced. The centurion roars, his vine staff raised high. The enemy crashes into the line. The sound is indescribable. Iron on iron, wood splintering, the thud of bodies colliding. The air fills with the stench of sweat, blood, and fear. The shield wall shudders under the impact, a living thing groaning against the weight of chaos. Your arm strains, your shoulder aches, but you hold. The man before you thrusts a spear over the rim of his shield, snarling. You duck, feel the point glance off the iron boss. With a roar, you surge forward, your gladius darting from behind your shield. The blade plunges into flesh, quick, sharp, efficient. A scream. Hot blood sprays your arm. The body falls away, trampled underfoot. There is no pause, no breath. Another takes his place, another spear, another face twisted in rage. You fight not as a man, but as a machine, drilled, disciplined, trained to perfection. Shield, thrust, withdraw. Shield, thrust, withdraw. The rhythm is relentless, a dance of survival. All around you, the world is madness. To your left, a comrade falls, his throat opened. Another steps into his place instantly, the line unbroken. To your right, a soldier screams as a spear pierces his leg, yet he holds his shield high, refusing to yield. Behind you, the Optio shouts encouragement, driving the line forward, his staff striking the backs of lagging men. The air is a storm of sound, the clash of metal, the cries of the dying, the roar of commands. Dust blinds your eyes, sweat stings your wounds, your muscles burn with fire. Yet still you fight, still the line holds. For this is Rome, this is discipline, this is the machine that devours empires. The enemy surges again, pressing hard, their rage like fire. They slam against your shield, their weight crushing. For a moment you stumble, knees buckling. But the soldier beside you presses closer, his shield locking with yours, holding you upright. You breathe, steady, and strike again. Another thrust, another fall, another step into the endless tide. Minutes stretch into eternity. Time loses meaning. The world is only the wall, the push, the kill, the press of flesh and iron. Your ears ring, your hands numb, your chest heaves, yet still you fight. And then, at last, the order comes. Advance! The horns blare. With a roar, the legion surges forward, shields battering, blades stabbing. The enemy falters. The machine grinds them down, step by step, relentless. They scream, they waver, their line bends. Blood slicks the earth, bodies pile high, the soil drinks deep. You push, 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 until at last the enemy breaks. Their line shatters. They flee, a tide in reverse, scrambling, stumbling, casting aside their arms in desperation. Some fight to the last, cut down where they stand. Most turn and run. The valley becomes a slaughter. The centurion raises his staff, bellowing the signal. Pursuit is ordered. The legion surges, pressing the rout, cutting down stragglers, ensuring no strength remains to rise again. The ground is littered with the dead, the dying, the broken. The cries of mercy, the gasps of the wounded, the silence of the fallen. All mingle in a chorus of death. You stagger, your arm heavy, your shield dented, your blade red to the hilt. You breathe, gasping, chest heaving. You look around at brothers fallen, at brothers still standing, at the field that moments ago was a storm, and now is a grave. This is battle, not glory, not poetry, not shining marble reliefs carved upon triumphal arches. This is mud and blood, and the raw, brutal struggle of flesh against steel. This is survival bought at the highest price. And as you stand among the ruins of the clash, the truth burns within you. The shadow of battle is nothing compared to its reality. The shadow threatens, frightens. The battle itself devours. But you are Roman. You endured. You stood. You fought. And Rome still stands because of it. Not silent, never silent, but the great roar, the storm of steel and men has passed. What remains is the echo, the aftermath, the long shadow of violence cast across the earth. You stand where moments ago you fought for your life, where the clash of shield against shield shook your bones, where the cries of the dying filled your ears. Now, there is only the ragged breathing of the survivors, the groans of the wounded, the low, broken sobs of men who have lost brothers. The air is thick with the smell, blood, sweat, smoke, churned soil. It clings to you, fills your nostrils, seeps into your clothes. You cannot escape it. You will carry it with you long after you leave this place. The centurion's voice rises above the moans, sharp, steady, unrelenting. He calls the men back into formation. Even in victory, discipline holds. The line reforms, shields lifted, ranks straightened. You feel the exhaustion in your bones, the weight in your arms, but still you obey. You are Roman. You are soldier. You do not falter, even when the battle is done. The Optio counts the survivors, his voice carrying across the valley. Names are called, one by one, answers given or left in silence. Each silence is a wound deeper than any blade. A brother lost, a friend fallen. The numbers shrink, and with them, the world feels colder. And yet, there is no time to grieve. Not yet. The order comes. Tend to the wounded. You kneel beside a comrade, his face pale, his leg mangled by a spear. His eyes meet yours, wide with fear, yet still clinging to life. You press cloth against the wound, your hands slick with blood, whispering words of reassurance you do not believe. Around you, surgeons move swiftly, their tools crude but effective. Knives, hooks, cautery irons heated red in the fire. Flesh burns, men scream. The stench of seared skin mingles with the already choking air. But lives are saved, or at least delayed from slipping away. Others are not so fortunate. The dead lie in heaps, their armor dented, their shields shattered, their eyes staring blankly at the sky. Some are Romans, most are not. Yet death makes no distinction. A soldier is a soldier. A man is a man when the breath has left his body. The priests arrive. Small altars are raised. Prayers are spoken to Mars, to Jupiter, to the gods of war and fate. Thanks for victory, pleas for mercy, rituals for the fallen. A bull is brought forth, its throat cut, its blood spilling into the soil as an offering. The gods are honored, for Rome owes her triumph not only to steel, but to divine favor. Then comes the grim task of clearing the field. You walk among the corpses, searching. Each face you see could be a friend, a brother. You steel yourself, forcing your gaze forward, yet every so often you pause, your heart tight in your chest. There, a man you knew. You kneel, closing his eyes, whispering his name. There will be time for mourning, but not now. His body is carried to the pyres, to be returned to ash, to rise with the smoke toward the heavens. The enemy dead are stripped, their weapons and armor taken as spoils. Some are left to rot, carrion for crows. Others are heaped into mass graves, covered with stones and soil. Rome does not waste her time honoring the fallen foe. Only her own sons are granted fire and prayer. The sun climbs higher, beating down on the valley of death. Sweat runs down your face, mingling with the dirt and blood. Your hands ache, your arms heavy, yet still the work continues. Piles of shields, heaps of broken spears, shattered helmets. The detritus of war gathered and sorted. Rome wastes nothing. Even in death, order is restored. At last, the horns sound again. The surviving legionaries gather, standing in weary silence. The commander steps forward, his armor gleaming despite the dust, his voice carrying with the authority of empire. He praises the discipline of the line, the valor of the men, the glory of Rome. The victory is declared absolute. The banners are raised high, crimson against the sun, and the name of Rome resounds once more across the land. Yet even as triumph is proclaimed, you feel the weight of loss. The faces missing from the ranks, the names unanswered, the brothers who will never march again. Victory tastes of ash in your mouth. Still, you stand. You lift your shield. You raise your voice with the others. Roma victor, Rome victorious. Because this is who you are. This is what you were made to be. As the sun begins to sink, the pyres are lit. Flames leap into the darkening sky. smoke curling upward in thick black columns. The fire crackles, consuming wood and flesh alike. Shadows dance across the faces of the living, eyes glistening in the firelight. You watch as the bodies of your brothers burn, their spirits rising with the smoke, carried to the gods, honored in the only way Rome knows. The enemy's pyres are smaller, hastily built, their dead burned without prayer, without names, ashes scattered to the wind, forgotten by history. Rome does not honor those who stand against her. The night grows heavy. The work is done. The field is cleared. Victory belongs to Rome. And yet, in the quiet moments when the fire crackles and the voices fade, you cannot help but wonder. How many more battles lie ahead? How many more mornings will you wake to the horns of war? How many more brothers will you bury before your own name is called in silence? This is the aftermath of victory, not celebration, not joy, not glory carved in marble, but fire and ash and the heavy burden of survival. And tomorrow, the legion will march again. The battlefield is behind you now, though its memory clings like smoke in your lungs, like blood on your hands. The horns sound, the centurions bark, and the legion moves once more in ordered ranks, boots thudding in steady rhythm against the earth. Even in victory, there is no rest. Rome demands discipline. Rome demands progress. Your pack feels heavier than before, though you carry no loot, no spoils, only the weight of exhaustion. Each step stirs dust, rising in clouds around the column, mingling with the scent of sweat and leather. The wounded are carried on stretchers, their groans muffled beneath the march's drumbeat. Some cling to life with stubborn resolve. Others drift, eyes glazing, breaths shallow, their fates already sealed. The standard-bearer walks ahead, the eagle held high. Its golden wings catch the light, blazing like fire in the morning sun. Men glance at it often, drawing strength from its presence. For the eagle is Rome, and as long as it soars above the ranks, Rome herself marches unbroken. Hours pass. The road winds through hills, across rivers, through villages half deserted, their people watching in silence as the legion trudges by. Some kneel, offering bread and wine, gestures of submission and survival. Others glare, hatred burning in their eyes. But they do not act. They cannot. Rome has shown her strength. Rome has broken their champions. At last, the camp comes into view. The great fortress of earth and timber, square and perfect, the palisades bristling with sharpened stakes, the gates flanked by towers. Smoke rises from within, the smell of cooking fires drifting on the wind. Though temporary, though raised in haste, the camp stands as a monument to Roman order. Where the legion rests, Rome itself is planted into the earth. The gates open. The column enters. Inside, the camp hums with activity. Artisans repair weapons, smiths hammer dents from helmets, cooks stir great pots of barley stew. Prisoners are herded to pens, their hands bound, their eyes hollow. Officers confer in the praetorium, scrolls unrolled, plans drawn for the next campaign. Even in victory, there is no stillness. Rome is always moving forward. The first task is cleansing, armor stripped, washed of blood and grime, blades sharpened, peeler inspected, shields scrubbed and repainted. A soldier is never idle, not even after battle. Idle hands invite weakness, weakness invites death. So you work, though your body aches, though your eyes burn with fatigue. Then, the rituals. The priests stand at the central altar, smoke from sacred fires rising into the air. Offerings are made, wine poured, incense burned, the liver of a sacrificed ram inspected for omens. Thanks is given to Mars, to Victoria, to Jupiter, Optimus Maximus, for granting triumph. Prayers are spoken for the souls of the fallen. Their names are recited one by one, echoing across the camp. Each name a reminder of the cost of glory. As night falls, the celebrations begin. Victory cannot be mourned alone, it must be honored. Fires blaze high, music rises, the clash of cymbals and the beat of drums filling the air. Wine flows freely, cups passed from hand to hand. Men laugh, sing, boast of their deeds, of the foes they struck down, of the wounds they survived, of the gods who favored them. Some exaggerate, their tales growing larger with each retelling. Others remain quiet, their eyes distant, their thoughts lingering on the faces of the fallen. You find yourself somewhere between the two. Pride swells in your chest. Pride for Rome, for the legion, for surviving where others did not. Yet a heaviness lingers, a weight that no wine can lift. You smile, you drink, you sing with your brothers. But when the laughter fades, when the flames crackle low, you are left with silence once more. The officers feast separately, their tables heavy with meat, fruit, and fine wine taken from the spoils. Speeches are made, victories compared to those of Scipio, of Caesar, of the great conquerors of Rome's past. They speak of history, of legacy, of empire eternal. You listen from afar, their words drifting like smoke above the camp. For you, history is not carved in marble or inked on parchment. History is blood, sweat, dust, the march of feet, the clash of steel, the cry of men. Later the camp quiets, the fires burn low. Some soldiers sleep deeply, their bodies too exhausted for dreams. Others toss and turn, haunted by visions of the day before. You lie awake, staring at the canvas of your tent, listening to the night sounds, the murmur of guards on the walls, the distant howl of a wolf, the steady breathing of your comrades. You think of home, the fields of Italy, the narrow streets of your village, the laughter of family long unseen. The battle feels far away now, yet it clings to you, carved into your flesh, etched into your soul. Tomorrow, the horn will sound again. Tomorrow, the legion will march again. But tonight, for a few fleeting hours, you rest. This is the return to camp, not peace, not comfort, not an end, but a pause, a moment between battles, a brief stillness in the endless march of Rome. The fires burn low, their embers glowing faintly in the dark. The laughter, the singing, the boasting, all has faded into silence. The men sleep, sprawled on cloaks and straw, their armor stacked neatly at their sides. The night is heavy, pressing down on the earth, filled only with the whisper of wind and the distant call of night birds. You lie awake, staring into the darkness. Your body aches, your limbs heavy, yet sleep does not come. Instead, your mind drifts, carried backward and forward, past and future, all tangled in the present moment. You think of the morning, the horns, the march, the clash of battle. You think of the faces you saw, some twisted in rage, others frozen in fear, and some now gone forever. You think of the weight of the shield on your arm, the shock of impact, the iron taste of blood. You think of the silence after, the way victory felt more like emptiness than triumph. And you wonder, is this all there is? They call it glory. They tell us it is honor, the highest calling a man can serve, to fight for Rome, to bleed for her, to die with her eagle above your head. And perhaps it is. Rome is eternal, greater than any man, greater than any tribe, greater than any kingdom that dares stand against her. She marches across the world, and we march with her, carrying her banners, raising her walls, building her roads, spreading her law, her tongue, her gods. But at night, when the horns are silent and the camp is still, glory feels like something different. It feels like exhaustion. It feels like the ache in your bones, the scars on your skin, the empty spaces where brothers once stood. It feels like a hollow victory, carved not in marble but in flesh. You remember home, the soft hills of Latium, the vineyards heavy with grapes, the olive trees swaying in the breeze, the smell of bread baking, the sound of children running through narrow streets, the faces of family, the warmth of laughter, the comfort of peace. Those memories feel like another life, a dream half forgotten. The man who lived there, who laughed there, who was loved there, is he still you? Or was he left behind on some distant battlefield? buried in the dust with the dead. The truth is, you no longer know. The army has shaped you, remade you. Once, you were a farmer, a laborer, a son. Now you are a soldier. You wake when the horns sound. You march when the orders come. You fight when commanded. You kill when commanded. You bury the dead, then march again. That is life. That is Rome. And yet, beneath the discipline, beneath the armor and the iron, there is still something human. A flicker of self, a spark that refuses to die. It comes alive in the quiet moments, when you share a loaf of bread with a comrade, when you laugh at a crude joke around the fire, when you remember the taste of wine from your father's vineyard. Small things, fragile things, but they remind you that you are not only soldier, not only steel. You are still man. Still, the shadow of death is always near. Today you survived. Tomorrow, perhaps not. You saw it in the eyes of your brothers, in the silence when names were called, and went unanswered. Death does not choose. It comes for the strong and the weak, the brave and the fearful, the young and the seasoned. And when it comes, what remains? A name carved into a wax tablet? A memory carried by comrades until even they are gone? Ash scattered to the wind? Rome endures. That is the truth. Rome endures while men like you fall forgotten. You are the stones in her road, the bricks in her wall, the blood in her mortar. You build her, you die for her, and she marches on, eternal. And yet, is that not a kind of immortality? When you hold the line, when you raise your shield, when you bleed into the soil of foreign lands, you are Rome. Your sweat, your scars, your sacrifice, and they become part of something greater. Roads will stretch where you once marched. Cities will rise where you once camped. Children not yet born will speak Latin, worship Roman gods, live under Roman law. They will never know your name, but they will live because you fought. Is that not glory? Is that not worth the weight you carry? Perhaps. The night deepens. The stars wheel above, silent and eternal. You watch them, wondering if your ancestors once looked at the same sky, wondering if your descendants will look still. Time stretches on, endless, and you are but a moment within it, brief, violent, forgotten. But Rome, they say, is forever. You close your eyes, at last. Sleep comes slowly, heavy, dragging you down. The last thought in your mind is simple, quiet, almost prayer. Let me live to see tomorrow. Let me march again. Let me hold the line. One more day. And then the darkness takes you. This is the life of a Roman soldier. Not marble statues, not songs of triumph, not gilded crowns, but mud and blood and silence, and yet within it, a flicker of eternity.